But again, you're not gonna really think of the chromatic scale completely while playing the lines. You're just thinking of the idea that whole step you're adding chromaticism, half step you are doing you're playing an enclosure, right? Like for example, if you go back to that B minor 7 again, right, where all of these places, like let's say if I think of just B Dorian, let's say I think of, right, between the natural 6 and the flat 7 there's a half step, so hence I'm gonna add an enclosure there, and then between the between the 2 and the flat 3 there's a half step, so and then between everything else there's a whole step, so and then so if I just practice that particular line with this track around 3 octaves, and then I use the leading tone ideas, right? So then automatically I'm coming up with lines that make sense, right? Right? Then I can go out. But you have to come back on a strong beat. Then blues licks, right? In fact, bits and pieces of the blues scale also you can use, right? Whatever. If I have to give another example, let's say C major, right? C major 7th, right? So, like we said, the do gets an enclosure, but for the mi, you have a chromatic passing tone before that because you have a whole step. Re to mi is a whole step. That's it. Then fa to so is a whole step. And then la to ti is also a whole step. So now if we have to mix the chromaticism and the enclosure, we can take any of these 3 chromatic whole steps and end it with the enclosure. Let's say
chromatic to charte pacchi to amra.
I'm saying we have 3 chromatic ideas: re to mi, fa to so, and la to ti. Third, fifth, and seventh. এই তিনটেই basically whole step পাচ্ছি তার আগে. Whereas the root only has an enclosure available to you.
Correct.
Right. What you can do is mix up the enclosure with chromatic backwards. Like, যেমন re to do is a chromatic. Re to do in the key of C. That's a chromatic passing tone technically. So you can do that.
আপনি বলছেন ও আচ্ছা মানে আমি ডিরেক্টলি না এসে
correct. So now instead of thinking of an arpeggio as, that's basically your third inversion major 7th, right? So instead of thinking of it like that, what if you chromaticize the idea altogether? then automatically you stop sounding like a scale,
Correct.
right? And it just sounds a little bit more bebop. But I'm not gonna say randomize it. But first you have to do a little bit of trial and error to really train your ears a little bit and train your muscles a bit. But after a point, if you randomize it and as long as you land on the right chord tone, you're pretty sorted, you know.
মানে স্যার এই মুভমেন্টগুলো যদি আমি প্র্যাকটিস করে রাখি, ধরুন এই যে তারপরে ধরুন আমি জানি এই নোটটা আসবে, তাই তো? আবার আমি জানি এইটা একটা কর্ড টোন।
But I would say when you're practicing, try to be even more random than that. Like let's say for starting, keep the enclosure intact. So keep that part intact.
আচ্ছা।
And then experiment with all the like whole steps. For example, let's say instead of going from like after going to T, Re, Do, I go to Re, Re, Mi. Okay, so right now if I start swinging that, it becomes a bit of a line, right? And then I mix and match with other kinds of whole step, like but I'm still T, Re, Do is still there. So as long as you figured this like basic idea across 3 octaves, you are at a pretty good place around the fretboard because
বাকি তো সব chromatism।
and plus there's another position also. So just like these 2 positions, if you figure it out, it's all about moving the geometry for other keys at that point.
Correct.
You know, like right?